About now? We good? Still no sound. Okay. Yeah, we can hear me? Yes. Okay. I don't know what that was all about, but here we are. Maybe the microphone was still asleep. We're good. We hear me. Yay. Every now and again, you just got to trust the delay. So here we are. Happy Friday. I am a little bit chesty. I feel fine. It's probably has to do with a lot of the cheering that I do at the hockey rinks, but I think it's fine. Mercury retrograde coming up. Yeah, this retrograde doesn't feel that I don't want to use the word that bad. I don't feel we're going to be that affected by this retrograde. There's also a lot of moving energy that's coming through. What I am feeling, though, a little bit for the weekend here is a lot of energy that we are currently letting go of, that we are processing and releasing. There seems to be a heightened release of whether it be old thoughts, old patterns, old traditions. But I felt what was tying into a little bit of that was a little bit of that guilt feeling. I felt that we were processing a lot of things that need to go, but we're struggling with, but I feel bad for that. So I'm really curious if some of you are processing some of that with a hint of, but I feel so bad for that. PJ, oh my God, Luna in the shoes. Yeah, she's quite funny. That dog is something else. I'm with this whole releasing piece when we're letting go of things that no longer serve us, sometimes we do get pulled into a little bit of the expectation, and I think that that does tie in as well with the Christmas season. We have all these expectations, and I think many of us are moving into a space of wanting new ways of doing things, new ways of gathering, new ways of celebrating. And when we kind of navigate through some of those changes and letting go of things, I feel many of us collectively struggling with a lot of this it does feel like guilt, but it feels like I'm not meeting expectations. And I think this weekend, as we kind of navigate through that, the feeling of lifting that burden of what used to be and the burden of what I have to do, I feel it like we're shifting out of that. And I feel like we're processing a little bit, but what Spirit said is, remember, we do create our own experiences here. And whatever experience you want to create for yourself, there's joy in new beginnings, and there's joy in new way of doing things, and there's joy in adjusting the calendar. I'm not doing stress this year about Christmas, neither am I. I'm also kind of navigating through. I'd rather have some experience over the holidays rather than gifts and a bunch of stuff under the tree. For me, it's about experience. Shelby says, I feel immense guilt for everything I've let go of recently, though I should be applauding myself. I've been crying over it. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Shelby, is and that's what Spirit was talking about, was this whole guilt feeling of I want to do it this way, or I want to do it a new way, or I'm working through letting go of some old things and I'm feeling bad. We are quite programmed, for in a lot of different ways of meeting the expectations of other people. And I think as we navigate through the next couple days, I really feel, if you're feeling this, if this is deeply resonating with you, I do feel us really kind of shrug, 'cause I felt my shoulders shrugging during my meditation, is I need to do it. And it's okay. And if everybody's not happy with me, then I've got to kind of move into a place of accepting that. I also felt from Spirit is sometimes we prejudge other people's reactions. And I found that very a very interesting statement. Sometimes we think we are going to have a reaction from people, and we may be creating something in our own mind or jumping to conclusions, because quite often people will understand the space that you're standing in. And sometimes we don't give other people an opportunity to process or to think, or sometimes we put too much energy into worrying about that. And I get it. We all have people in our lives that we want to keep make happy, or we want to, not upset or disturb. But we need to also give people an opportunity to understand how we're feeling. PJ, I felt guilt for being so sick this week, letting my coworker and team down, which is silly as they wouldn't want me around being ill. Absolutely. And that's some of the and PJ, that's kind of a bit of what I'm saying is we bring in this guilt that may not necessarily even need to be there. So one thing that really helps is working on that whole throat chakra piece about being able to lovingly speak our truth and giving people an opportunity to have their time to absorb what we're saying and to process it from their perspective and not quite judge their reaction. And and it's not about being inconsiderate, because a lot of people say, well, that's just being inconsiderate, or I'm not, considering everything around me. When we give people an opportunity to pause and reflect and understand us, we are often surprised at what they come back with, as far as energy, or as far as words, or as far as support. And sometimes the guilt can come through as anxiety or anger or fear. So depending on how you process things, but I really feel very loud and clear from spirit today. The main key is in all of this is we need to give other people an opportunity to process and understand. And I really feel sometimes we don't. We jump to what they're going to think. We jump to what they're navigating through, and everybody's going through their own stuff, especially this time of year as well. Everybody's changing. Everybody's going through their own process. The people around us are going through some of that too. And Spirit very lovingly wanted me to pass on that reminder that we've got to give people the opportunity and to jump less to how we feel they're going to react. Keep that in the back of your mind this weekend. And also in the over the weekend, and this comes up a lot, and I know I say this a lot. Give yourself a chance to sit and be in silence. Give yourself a chance to process. Give yourself a chance to feel. This time of year we get so busy, don't we? Whether it be with work, tying up loose ends, whether it be shopping or worrying or cooking or baking, give yourself a chance to come back into your body and just breathe for a moment. And I always take a look at, very clearly, I'm very honest with myself. I also take a look at, am I creating the overwhelm? Am I creating the expectation? Sometimes, and I'll say this lovingly, sometimes we're the problem. Right? We do. We just get so in there, and we get so wound up, and we get so overwhelmed. And most people around us would support us and saying it doesn't have to all be done. You don't have to spend that much. You don't have to attend that if you're not feeling well enough. That is, Diane Quinn. Yes, I'm worse for that. I'm always the problem. And loving yourself through that, Diane, with I need to work on that. I'm working on that. That self-talk piece. We are, just based on the Christmas holiday season alone, we are going to be going through a lot of that. Make this the month that you change how you're thinking about it. Make this the opportunity to take. I'm gonna change a little bit of that. And the thing is most people want to change it anyway. If you talk to people around you, they don't necessarily love and embrace all that overwhelm and all that. They don't necessarily really want that either. So tap into that over the weekend and just give yourself time to breathe. We create it. We create it. We create it. And we tap into it, and we also feed it. So if you have your mouth open like a baby bird, to digest and swallow the overwhelm, close your mouth. Right? You don't have to jump in. You don't have to stay open to that. You can close your mouth and not taste it. We do have those opportunities, and I think every now and again we get those really, I'll use the word strong reminders from spirit that we are also participating in creating the feelings that we're navigating through. I really feel that the holiday seasons were never meant to add a stress or an energy of guilt or shame. I truly don't feel the holiday seasons were ever meant for that. When you think about whatever Christmas means for you, was it created to cause you stress and anxiety and to be spending all this money, or to become, was never created for that. Like, I don't feel any holiday was created for that. And when we lean back into what the vibration person means to you, lean into that and stop creating the overwhelm and stop feeding the overwhelm or stop opening up your mouth to receive it. And I think that's the biggest thing. We struggle as humans quite often to say no thank you, that doesn't serve me. And those words said, with love and with kindness, most people will totally understand that. Let's give people a chance to honor how we feel and to honor how they feel. I hope that that resonates with all of you guys. I'm curious to see. I haven't gone through much of the chat here. I will scroll up and see what's going on. Kayla, me either, Lana. That's why I love watching Christmas movies that remind us of our inner child. Absolutely. 100%. The magic, the time together, whether it be, snacking on cheese and crackers or your favorite dishes, that's kind of what we need to lean into. And I really feel that for many people, I think this Christmas is going to be a push to get back into that, to get back into a Christmas morning walk or get back into, something very, very, very simple. We need to lift it. And I think we're being pushed further and further into that. And it's not a bad thing. It's a glorious thing. I agree, Cheyenne. We choose our lessons. I'm going to scroll back up to the top here because I know I've missed quite a bit. I tried to grab a few, but to keep my distraction at a minimal. So let's see what we are. We're, okay, there we go. PJ, so let's tap into Luna. So Luna's quite funny. My little dog Luna is quite hilarious. She's been after me to she doesn't understand why other people don't hear her the way I hear her. So she's been after me lately to teach other members of the household or people that are around a lot to hear her the way I hear her. She's quite funny. Um Dee Dee, repeat lessons where I need to stay in my lane, and it's hard, but I'm getting better. I love how you worded that, acknowledging that it is hard. It is hard to stay in our lane. Knee jerk reactions or the desire to be, to have that loud microphone to be heard. It is hard. And I think, Dee Dee, one thing to remember on that is we know how to get back into our lane. I myself have moments where I have gotten completely out of my lane, tangled myself up in somebody else's stuff, and it's like, no, 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 I'm out in my lane. I've got to come back in. So it is a constant work in progress, and we are constantly learning and growing. So I think, Dee Dee, just kind of continue with that reminder that I'm getting better and I'm working on it. I'm working on staying in my lane a little bit longer. I feel like other people aren't meeting my expectations. Ooh, there, Dee Dee, the honesty and the love in that statement is glorious. Let's dive into that. Um, One thing that I always kind of remember is I remember that other people are learning too, and they're processing and they're sorting their own self out, and they're having their own experiences. I also have work on not having a lot of expectations. I work on just allowing people. I also remind myself that they're learning and they're growing and they are having their own experiences here, and the whole stay in your lane will help that. Expectations on other people, is something that we've got to kind of tap in and reevaluate too. And I will often ask myself this question: from where that person is standing, are they doing their best? Right? From where they're standing, are they doing their best? And sometimes, for the most part, people are doing their best. And sometimes they may be struggling something that we don't understand. And I try to look at all situations, from the space of love and light. And if I need to step back or offer support, I will. I'm also not afraid to say I'm going to step back into my lane. I'm here if you need me, but the whole boundary piece. But I also keep an eye on the measuring stick that you're using. Keep an eye on that measuring stick. Is it a measuring stick of judgment, or is a measuring stick of us not understanding? How we want people to look at us is how we need to look at them, right? But Didi, you worded that so beautifully. Um, Shelby, I feel immense guilt for everything I've let go recently. Okay, I tapped into that one a few minutes ago. I should be applauding myself. I've been crying over it. You should be applauding yourself. And sometimes it's really hard to applaud ourselves. And one statement that comes to me is very similar to what I said to Dee Dee is I'm doing the best that I can from where I'm standing with what I know right now or what I knew then. I was doing the best to navigate through that. And I also, take that time to acknowledge not just the learning that I'm doing, but the learning that I've accomplished. I've learned that. Sometimes it was the hard way, and sometimes I took the easy road, but man, did I have I learned that, and I give myself, an A plus for even the effort that I put in. And if I have to clean something up, if I have to tidy up, whether it be my thoughts or actions or whatever that it is, I take ownership of that. I'm, not being afraid to take ownership of the good stuff too. And we are always untangling that programming, what you didn't get done, what you didn't do. If you got a C plus in a grade, and you could have should have got an A. I acknowledge my best effort. So acknowledge your efforts too, you guys. I think it's really important to acknowledge that, right? Um, we are very hard on ourselves as humans. We tap into the lack of within ourselves all the time. Kristen, my boyfriend is going through a hard time and wants to know how to get to his true place. Are there any messages for him? So, Kristen, when I tap in there, it comes back into that acknowledgement of the effort too. I feel like he needs to acknowledge that he's going through something and he's going through it with that chin up to learn. I'm going to learn this. It's hard and I'm going to learn this. But I also have to tap in there with him with some of this letting go stuff. I feel like a lot that he's kind of going through. I feel like a lot of it is healing of old wounds and old situations or old ways of dealing with new situations. And I feel like the fact that he's shifting into that growth space, excuse me, sorry, he needs to feel that and he needs to acknowledge that. And I feel it's more of an acknowledgement. I also feel, excuse me, I also feel his worthiness is coming up. He's worthy of it too. I really have to tap in and get him to feel how worthy he is. And I feel that energetically, if we truly feel we're not worthy of anything good, or if we're not worthy of the good things coming, that affects what's coming at us, right? Because everything is energy. So I feel that as he's navigating and learning, I would encourage him with a little bit of that self talk and the whole everything is working out for me. Everything is working out for me. I need to kind of shift him into that a little bit more. Uh, Caroline, I'm waiting to see if I'm pregnant, and patience has never been my strong point. Any words of advice? uh, that's. I think many of us here are kind of having a smile or a chuckle with similar experiences when it comes to our patients. Um, Caroline, one thing that really I need, and I know it's hard. This is a big one, right? And I know it's hard. There's a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions and a lot of that waiting game. I always lean back into the trust. I always lean into that trusting the divine timing, that everything is going to work out for me the way it's supposed to, and leaning into trusting my physical body as well. With my body knows when it's time. My body knows when I need to lean into that space, as tough as it is. And sometimes we navigate through anxiety or disappointment. I need to lean into that trusting space. And as you navigate through that, with either way, and I know it's tough, and I used to tell myself, with waiting for that kind of news, is as I navigate through this, when the divine timing is right, it will happen. And when you lean into that, it kind of settles down a little bit. But I think, Caroline, like, let's be honest, this is a big one to work on. And I want you to feel just being so held and loved and supported by people here, that we are supporting you as you wait, and as you deal with the impatience and the excitement. We're all here cheering for you. Katie, my anxiety and thought process were bad last night. Katie, sometimes we do have our thought processes, and sometimes we do have anxiety about that. When you hit that loop, of struggling with thoughts or struggling with the mindfulness, the distraction is what's can quite often shift us out of that. For me, I love listening to music hurts frequencies, or any kind of music will shift me out of that. I also will journal and give those thoughts their place to go. We do need to acknowledge sometimes those thoughts. Sometimes things are hard. Sometimes we are worrying. I like to journal them, and I say, you know what? Here's a place for you to go, so that I don't have to carry it here. I also really tap into what's behind it. So, what is behind the thought process? What's behind that? Is it fear? Is it past experience? I try to get to the root of it. I try to get to what's the root here? What's going on here? Oh, yeah, I'm remembering an old experience where this didn't go well before. Oh, I'm remembering an old fear of some of a situation. Oh, that's what I'm pulling back into. We often pull back into an energy of where we've been to before. And sometimes we just need to talk ourselves through that, or journal ourselves through that, and to acknowledge. I never dismiss how I'm feeling. And I think it's really important to acknowledge how I'm feeling this. Why am I feeling this? Oh, you know, or the other part is sometimes it will be, I'm really feeling this. This is intuitive. I'm tapping into, I need to do this or do that, or I need to let go, or I need to step back, or I don't need to go there. Right. So I think when we kind of, and that comes back into what I said a little bit earlier about giving yourself time to sit, and in the stillness, in that space of, I need to untangle this, to give ourselves that time to really get to why I'm feeling this. And sometimes those thoughts and sometimes those experiences, that anxiety, is teaching us where our next step in our own healing journey is. I got to work on that. Right. And that's one thing that I will go after my own thoughts, my own feelings. Oh, that's something that I haven't healed yet. I need to work on that. And you see how different that feels, rather than being so hard on ourselves as we processing, right? Cheyenne, I finally came with a better way to work through some healing. It quite literally dawned on me on my way to work. Oh, I love that. There are so many different ways of navigating through our own healing. And Cheyenne, I love that you came up with your own way. Everything like healing, or working with on our spiritual practices, it needs to resonate with us. It needs to be, our own road with it. Sometimes the traditional ways work, and other times it needs to be what works for us. And I'm always very clear with that, with my students, or with anybody that comes to me with healing. I try to find out what resonates with people, because if it can resonate with someone, they'll have an easier time of navigating through that and letting it go. What works for me might not work for Cheyenne. What works for Cheyenne might not work for Kayla. What works for Kayla might not work for PJ. So when you look at what works for me, and lean into that, and it also has a glorious feeling. It truly does. It has a glorious feeling of honoring what I need. This is what I need. I need to, and you guys know what I love to do. I love to be out in the forest, or laying on the ground, or under a full moon, or bird. I'm big into nature when it comes to my own letting go. So find your way through that. Oh, I gotta hold on here. I gotta click skip ads. Um, PJ, I felt guilt for being so. Okay, we read that one. Kayla, the spirit have any messages for me? Kayla, as soon as I that popped up there, what I really would like you to try over the weekend is, I'd like you to try some automatic writing. I'd like you to, and anybody who wants, if this resonates, so you can also try it. I'd like you to kind of sit in quiet, or with background music or noise that kind of brings you into a quieter space. And I'd like you to just sit with a journal and a pen and write whatever comes to you. Try to allow it and not think about it. Try to just let things come in. I'd like you to try some automatic writing. I think you're going to find that there is some incredible juice there for you. And automatic writing, we can pick up not just our own intuitive stuff, but the angelics like to come through with words. The angelics like to, our loved ones like to come through with advice. And don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just sit with a pen. I like to sit and close my eyes when I automatic write, especially in the beginning, just to get me into that zone. I mean, you would be surprised what words come to you, or what sentences come to you, or what shapes come to you. I'd like you to try that, Kayla. Or anybody else who would like to tap into that. Amelia, 100% struggling with my job. Okay, I feel like I'm letting them down. Um, Amelia, one thing that I really have to tap in here with you is, and I really have to get you to sit and answer this from that heart space. Are you learning? Are you learning? Is this relatively new, this position, this job, this space that you're in? Yeah, it is relatively new. You haven't been doing it for 5 or 10 years or even a whole year, right? Am I learning? Yeah. Am I doing the best with my learning? Am I doing my best? Am I giving it my all? Am I trying? Yeah, I think you are. I truly feel that. The other thing is that I feel like I need to ask you this. I'm not sure why I need to ask you this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Um, are you allowing support? Are your walls down? Are your weapons down? So weapons, I mean by like defense mechanisms or ego, um or what's another word? A shield that's going to block you from tapping into that full creativity. Um or the sensitive parts of you. Sometimes we don't like to hear that we need to try a little bit more or a different way. Are you open to receive that? Are you open to receive support? Okay. Now, sometimes support. Let's look at this now. Let's pick this apart. Sometimes support looks like I think you could polish that up a little bit, or I think you can go back to the drawing board and try again. How guarded are you to receive that? Where is it knee jerk reaction? Do you struggle with hearing other people's opinions? Are you at least hearing them? And that's one thing that I think that I need to kind of tap into. Now, I also need to, and I don't know why, but I'm just going to say it. I also really feel that I need to ask you, with this job, are you looking at it as an identity? And think about it. You don't have to answer that, but think about that. Am I looking at this is what I do. This is my job. But am I looking at it as is this am I trying to wrap my identity in it? Am I looking for my identity in my work? Because our job is not our identity. Our job is what we do, right? Brings us joy, brings us learning, but it's not necessarily who we are, right? It's an interest, it's a title, it's a learning opportunity, but it's not who we are. Might be part of, but it's not all of who we are. So how much of you are you trying to sort out in that? And perhaps it's none. I've just been asked to ask that for whatever reason, and if it's not probably it might be somebody else here that needs to ask themselves that. But we do try sometime, or maybe we're not even aware of it, that we look for our identity in that, our importance, in our value, and our worth, right? I remember, I'll use myself as an example. I remember being a new nurse when I first graduated, and I remember, the feeling I had when I put on a scrub and walked down the hospital halls. Felt good, felt good. But was my identity the scrub? Was my identity the job? No. Part of my identity is helping people. It's part of who I am. And that's what I was feeling. You see that? You see that? So, that is kind of what I want you to kind of lean into a little bit there as you navigate. Very interesting. All right. I gotta watch the time. Oh, it's 9:05. You guys, I gotta get to Cambridge soon. Oh my gosh, I lose track of time seeing you guys. I'm sensing strength, Cheyenne. I love that. I don't feel guilt. I'm feeling an immense amount of anxiety and fear. I know why, and I'm working through it. Love that. Love that. And I love how yous are shifting. I've seen a lot of shifting here this year on the channel with how you're wording things and how you're looking at it and the level of awareness. I see that and I love that. And we're all doing it together and we're all helping each other here. I know there's a lot of questions here, you guys, but I really have to keep an eye on the time. Katie, I had a bad experience when I told my mom I was bi, so I don't know if I want to tell her I'm asexual. Okay, Katie, let's tap into that. Um one thing that I need to kind of tap into here, Katie, is and thank you for sharing. I know something about you. Sometimes people struggle with understanding something that is a very new concept for them. And sometimes that processing for them, we need to hold the space for too. Now, how people react is not yours to pick up, right? And sharing who you are, you're being open and expressing. And sometimes people totally understand, and sometimes people need time to understand. And I think especially on this topic, there's a lot of those who are learning to understand that there's different versions of people. And and it can take sometimes a little bit of understanding that they're not understanding. Um I think you will feel that I think you will sense the knowing of when to share and how much of it to share. But I really feel though that I got a spirit guide with a hand on your back. I really feel that spirit is encouraging you to make sure that you're living your life. This is your life. This is your journey. This is your experience. I actually have been taking some notes on this topic, on what Spirit has said, and I've shared it with a few people. Um, we are in a space where we are shifting, and we need to allow that to come through. So if there's something that is about you that you're holding back, we need to start shining that. We need to really, and understand that people may need time to process that. Right. How they did things. Let's just think about this for a moment. Have you ever read something about history, like 150 years ago or 200 years ago, and you're like, why would they do that? Right? Like, why did they live like that? A very simple one is way back in the day, royalty didn't shower very often, and there's all kinds of documentation about that. And they didn't have the showers and the technology, and it wasn't a thing back then, right? So we don't understand a lot of how people were in the past, and we are coming into a whole new physical world here, and there are going to be moments where people don't understand. Right? Okay. I have to get going, you guys. I have pushed my limit. I have pushed my limit. So and it's okay that I pushed my limit. I'll just ask Spirit to clear the traffic for me all the way to Cambridge. Let us get a spirit animal book. And I'm feeling pulled to an angel number as well today. So let's see. Everybody want to set their intentions. What do we need to know for the weekend? Let's see what the weekend needs to be. Okay, the lizard. Can't remember the time I read the lizards, and I'm gonna read it all, so it's a page and almost 2 pages here. Pay close attention to your dreams, especially reoccurring themes and images, by keeping a dream journal and meditating on their meanings and messages. The situation calls for quiet and stillness until it's time to make your move. But when you do, you need to make it quickly and efficiently. This is an especially sensitive time right now, one where you're accurately aware of sight, sound, vibrations. So be extra careful about who and what you surround yourself with. Meditate and call upon a deep and ancient part of you, asking to be shown a vision or your life path. Listen to your own intuition over anybody else's. We talked a little bit about this. The automatic writing taps into there. The quiet that Spirit gave me this morning, about tapping into some quiet time. All right, so then it breaks it down into the chameleon. This is the time to stay in the background. Be patient and not show your true colors. You're in for a very positive change in your environment. Trust that what you see with your eyes is the truth, rather than relying on what you hear or feel or what others claim to be true. Pay attention to potential opportunity that will show up for you in the next day or two, and when it does, act on it quickly. Be careful about getting ahead of yourself, and instead make sure you are solidly anchored before making any choices. Gecko. Record your dreams, and there's more dreams. You guys dreaming a lot out there? Record your dreams in a dream journal and spend a few minutes each morning contemplating and writing about their meaning. When you're in the midst of a conflict, be clear with your communication and strong about what you are and are not willing to do. We just talked about all that, you guys. When you're tired and when when you've tried to get through to someone or resolve a problem, and it's not, this is a really long one, and it's not working, it's best to detach and move away from the situation. Don't hesitate to speak up if you have something to say, and don't automatically hold back for fear of others' disapproval. Regarding the task or project you're involved in, stick with it to completion. No matter how you're feeling, you'll reap the rewards when it's done. Singing or chanting will be very healing for you. Seek your spiritual nourishment by going inside yourself and dwelling there for a while. Holy smokes, you guys. Okay. If you're in this is a really long one. If you're in if you're in doubt at all, be patient and wait. Be conservative with your energy and resources rather than giving them away so readily. Don't start any new projects or expand your present business until the timing is more appropriate. Pay attention to your natural biorhythms and coordinate your activity cycle to those as best you can. In order to succeed, be sure that you're completely prepared before you move ahead. This is a good time for cleansing fast for a cleansing fast over a few days, or if you're physically not able to do so, complete fasting with only water. In planning a project, be sure to break down the details step by step in order to accomplish it successfully. There are a lot of complications in your life right now, yet with intention and effort, you can simplify them a great deal. Even though you feel mirrored in the mundane circumstances of your life, make the choice to climb out of them and view them from a different perspective. This is a good time to take action, something you've dreamed about doing or having but forgotten or dismissed some time ago because you thought it was unrealistic. Although you've although you've had a hard fall recently, you have to get up and keep going. Holy cow. That was the longest one yet. It's because there was a few different lizards under the category of lizards, so I read them all. That really taps into what we talked about. That taps into what we channeled, and we got a little bit of a bonus there with some extra. Angel number for the weekend. What do we need to know? 58. I like this one. Your finances are improving and there will be a positive change in your financial flow. This could also signal a job promotion, a career change with an increased salary. For those of you who are looking for work or looking for new jobs or are trying to manifest a raise, it's a coming. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. I've got a nice mixed bag this weekend. I've got some animal communication. I'm heading out to a new farm on Sunday, and Saturday I am out of town um, doing a smudge of a property, and I've got hockey. So yeah, I got to try to remember not to holler. I got to really try to remember not to holler. So I got to keep that. I got to keep that in alignment this weekend, or I'm gonna have no voice for you guys on Monday. As always. Love, light, blessings, and of course, have a spirit guided day. Don't forget your thumbs up, you guys. I'm grateful for them. Much love.